Kendrick Lamar is more than just a rapper. He's a poet and a storyteller. The raw energy in Mad City and the calm, reflective tone in Pride. His voice changes to match every song's feeling, and over the years, this has helped shape hip-hop in a big way. Let's go back to where it all started. Kendrick Lamar's first big project, Section 80, gave the world a voice that demanded to be heard. In those early days, his delivery was sharp, his tone full of hunger and emotion. He wasn't just rapping, he was painting vivid pictures of life in Compton, the struggles of his generation, and the need for change. You can hear the urgency and high power. Even then, it was clear. Kendrick wasn't just making music, he was starting a movement. On Section 80, Kendrick's voice was bold and unfiltered, packed with passion and strong opinions. His flow kept shifting, sometimes fast and sharp, like on Rigor Mortis, other times slow and reflective, like on Kush and Corinthians. Every word felt urgent, like he had something important to say, and his voice was the vehicle to deliver it. The rawness wasn't just a style, it was the foundation for everything he would go on to create. As Kendrick evolved, so did his voice. Good Kid, Mad City wasn't just an album, it was proof that he had mastered his craft. His voice became richer, shifting between moods and emotions effortlessly. On Bitch, Don't Kill My Vibe, he sounded reflective and smooth. But on Backseat Freestyle, he brought back the hunger of his early days. He wasn't just telling stories, he was making you feel them. What's really interesting is how Kendrick used his voice to capture the different sides of life around him. On Good Kid, Mad City, his voice became a powerful storytelling tool, almost like a movie. He wasn't just telling his own story, he was bringing Compton to life. He shifted his delivery to match different situations, making each moment feel vivid and real. Sometimes, his voice sounded young and innocent, like on The Art of Peer Pressure. Other times, it was tough and bold, like on Mad City. Kendrick's ability to switch between these styles became one of his standout strengths. Then came To Pimp a Butterfly, an album that completely transformed Kendrick Lamar's voice. This was a huge artistic step, not just for Kendrick, but for hip-hop as a whole. On this album, Kendrick blended hip-hop with jazz, funk, and soul, and began experimenting more with his voice. On The Blacker the Berry, Kendrick's voice was filled with rage, directly reflecting the pain and frustration in his words. But his voice wasn't always angry. On All Right, his delivery was uplifting, almost like an anthem. It carried an energy that made you feel like change was possible. Kendrick's ability to move between such powerful contrasts, anger to hope, frustration to peace, was nothing short of genius. To Pimp a Butterfly wasn't just an album, it was a cultural moment, and Kendrick's voice was its heartbeat. Fast forward to 2017, and Kendrick released Damn, another defining moment in his career. On Damn, Kendrick returned to a more raw, straightforward sound. His voice was once again strong and direct, but with even more control. On DNA, his voice carried a sense of self-belief, marking his growth as an artist. And on Humble, Kendrick effortlessly shifted between styles, proving just how much he could do with his voice. What stood out on Damn was how Kendrick balanced his powerful voice with moments of real emotion. On songs like Feel and Loyalty, he showed a more personal side. His voice was softer, more thoughtful, and even a little tired. But even in these moments, you could feel strength. Kendrick's voice on Damn felt more mature and full of depth. It wasn't just rapping. It felt like he was having a real conversation with us, sharing his thoughts and feelings. What made Damn even more special was how Kendrick played with different styles. On Element, his voice was strong and full of confidence, but on Love, his voice was calm and tender. He knew how to mix both sides, using his voice to take us through his highs and lows. By 2021, Kendrick had stepped away for a bit, but when he came back with Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, he took his voice in new directions. On Family Ties with Baby Keem, his voice was light and experimental. It wasn't what we expected, but that was exactly what made it exciting. Kendrick was showing us a side we hadn't seen before, raw, real, and ready to take risks. The way Kendrick changed his voice on Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers showed just how talented he really is. He could be fierce, vulnerable, playful, and deep, all in the same album. On N95, Kendrick's delivery is bold and powerful, while on Mother I Sober, he brings out a more reflective, personal tone. His voice reflected his growth as an artist, a person, and a cultural figure. Throughout his career, Kendrick Lamar has used his voice not just to rap, but to tell stories, make people think, and challenge the status quo. He's a master at using his voice to express different emotions, and he does it in a way that feels personal, yet relatable. Kendrick's voice is a mirror of his journey as an artist, a human, and a leader in culture. From the sharp, hungry flows of Section 80, to the deep emotions in To Pimp a Butterfly, and the personal side of Damn. Kendrick's voice has changed with each album. It keeps evolving, always surprising us, but never losing its core. His ability to switch between strong, smooth, emotional, and uplifting is what makes him one of the greatest in hip-hop. Even in his more subdued moments, Kendrick's voice carries an undeniable weight. On Crown, his delivery is stripped down, exposing vulnerability without needing to overemphasize it. This control over vocal subtlety is what makes his music so emotionally impactful. He doesn't just tell you how he feels, he makes you feel it with him. The slight cracks in his voice, the hesitations, the whispered phrases, these aren't accidental. They're carefully placed to pull the listener deeper into his world. Perhaps what makes Kendrick's voice most powerful is its unpredictability. He doesn't settle into patterns or predictable cadences. Instead, he reinvents his delivery with each new project. His voice isn't just an instrument. It's a shape-shifting force, bending to whatever message he needs to deliver. On Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, this unpredictability was taken to new heights. On We Cry Together, he turns his voice into a theatrical performance, making the track feel more like an audio drama than a traditional song. On United in Grief, he switches between spoken word pacing and rapid-fire flows, mimicking the mental turmoil he describes in the lyrics. So, what's next for Kendrick Lamar's voice? One thing's for sure, he'll keep using it to challenge, inspire, and make us think. His voice isn't just a sound, it's a movement. Tell us in the comments, which Kendrick Lamar voice hit you the hardest? Which track or album stands out the most to you?